Hello, everybody, and today I want to talk about why it's okay that people don't understand you. As humans, we always want to be understood. We always want people to know what our boundaries are, to know what makes us happy, what makes us sad, or what makes us angry. But these are just like basic emotions, these are basic triggers. But our emotions are a lot more complex. How we think is a lot more complex, and it's a shame because that's what we want people to understand. We want people to know how we think. We want people to know the real us, because when someone knows the real you, when someone knows what you're like behind closed doors, when someone knows what you're like behind the mask, it feels comforting. It feels as if you've got someone to rely on. You've got someone who cares about you. So as humans, we crave being understood. We crave being around the type of people who know what we're really like, because we all put on masks. Everyone puts on a mask. There might be a small majority of people, and you might be them, who are authentic, who act how they act outside compared to how they act inside. They are the same throughout, and they've been the same for years. I would love to be like that. But there's a large majority of people who are different on the outside than the inside. And the feeling of being understood is what makes it so much easier for us to process the happy emotions, because then you know you've got someone with you. But one thing we've got to accept is that as humans, we will never be understood. Our thoughts change every few months. What we like to eat changes every few months. What we like to wear changes every few months. The type of films we watch changes every few months. As humans, we're always learning, we're always thinking differently, and we're always either growing or getting smaller. So what I'm trying to say is that people can't understand you when we're constantly switching, because it becomes too much of a hard job. It becomes too hard for people to keep up with you, to keep up with your mood changes, and to really just know you to the best of their abilities. People will only base their understanding of you based off of what they see. How they perceive you is how they will perceive you for however long they know you. Unless you show some other side to them, they will either like it or they won't. You'll have to find out. But you've got to accept that not everyone will understand you, if not no one. We're always changing, and how we think is not easy to articulate into words, because we've all got very different minds. We've all got, crazy thoughts, and trying to say how we feel is something that not many people can articulate into words, and it's very complex to just explain. It's very confusing. So I think instead of trying to get people to understand you, you should just focus on understanding yourself. Because when you understand yourself, not only will you be able to surround yourself with people who will automatically understand you, people who will automatically suit you, but you will also be able to get better careers, build better relationships, and you will live a better lifestyle when you understand yourself. And you literally just got to flip the switch. You don't want people to understand you, you want to understand yourself. Because as soon as you understand yourself, you'll be able to surround yourself with the type of people who will understand you. And trying to get a grasp of your understanding of yourself is not very easy. It's very easy to say it, but to put it into action it's a hard job. But it's a process. It's a step we've all got to take, and even I'm still in that process of trying to understand myself, because I don't know what goes on in his head. But it's steps we've got to take, Trying to understand yourself requires you to actually take action. When you just sit and you wait for the days to pass on, thinking, at one point I'll understand myself. But that won't happen unless you do something. You can only grow as a person if you're taking action. So One of the ways that you can understand yourself is to do things you've never done before. That's like the simplest thing you can do. You can listen to music you never listened to before. So if you're into R&B or pop music, go listen to some rock, go listen to something indie, listen to something completely different. Watch a completely different film you don't like. You don't like action films? Go watch an action film. Just do something different, play a different sport, do something you've never done. Because as humans, there's always stuff to learn. We will never learn enough. And even though you're increasing your knowledge in something you don't really like or something you've not done before, it still allows you to understand what you like as a person. It still gives you a story to tell. Because everything in this world, I feel like, is related to art. Music is art, sports is art, movies are art, and all of them can link together. They're all connected in a way, and the beauty of art is what allows you to really understand yourself. When you start to appreciate the things that you never thought you would, you get a new perspective on life. When you start to watch the films you never thought you would like, you get a new perspective on life. And not only that, but you start to build relationships you never thought you would build. You start to connect with people in a way where you never thought you would. So there's art in everything, and you've just got to be willing to learn. You don't have to be interested in it, you just have to learn. Because then your brain has something to process. And throughout the weeks, maybe months, maybe years, it will come back. You will then get a realization of, I remember watching this movie, I remember the story it taught me. And a few years later you'll be like, oh, I've been living up to this message this movie had all these years and I never noticed. And art itself can make a huge difference on the way you think, and it will just allow you to understand yourself. It's something we all collectively can appreciate. And another thing that I think is very important when it comes to understanding yourself is to stop labeling yourself with a specific group of people. I don't care if you're diagnosed with it or if you suffer from it. That constant labeling will keep you trapped there. So say for example you label yourself as lonely. You suffer from loneliness. You never or rarely connect with people. And then you watch videos online that say, if you're feeling lonely, do this, do that. You listen to music talking about being lonely and being isolated. You watch movies about people being lonely and isolated. When you keep yourself in that little bubble and you interact with little things related to how you feel, you stay trapped there. It's harder to escape. And it feels good to know that you're not the only one. It feels good to be a lonely person watching lonely movies, because then you're like, oh, this is how I feel. And it feels nice to be known. It feels nice to relate to someone else. But you stay trapped there. You stay craving that sort of connection in a way where you don't want to leave it. And that's what makes it harder to understand yourself. You keep staying in this little bubble and you keep surrounding yourself with other people who experience the same thing as you. And you keep interacting with those same things, and it becomes a problem. And it's not even just with loneliness. It's like, let's say, anxiety. Let's say anxiety. When you surround yourself a lot with music focused around anxiety, movies focused around anxiety, videos about anxiety, the chances you overcome it, the chances you can understand yourself are limited, because that constant labeling is what stays ingrained in your mind, and your mind or your brain will just start to accept it. It will accept that, or it will think this is something I'm into. It will think or just accept that this is who I am. And you can't allow your mind to accept that, because then you will keep craving it. Then you will want to keep watching anxiety movies. Then you will want to keep listening to music that makes you feel lonely, because your brain craves it. You fed it so many times to your brain that it wants it. It doesn't want to not experience anxiety. And it's weird to say that, because You might be the type of person who wants to get over loneliness. You might want to get over anxiety. But when you keep labeling yourself, when you keep watching and listening to these type of music and watching all these videos, it's harder for you to overcome it, because being or feeling connected with other people who suffer from the same thing as you, or watching videos of other people who suffer from the same thing as you, feels good. You crave that connection. But it just makes it harder for you to leave, and I couldn't say this any better. So if you want to understand yourself, if you don't want to feel like you're trapped and you're just like, you'll be lonely forever, or you have anxiety forever, or anything like that, whatever you're suffering from, don't allow that to define you as a person. Don't let loneliness define you as a lonely person. Don't let depression define you as a depressive person. You have to think oppositely. You don't have to be like, I don't want to be loneliness, I don't want to be depressed. You just have to say to yourself that you want to overcome it. And to do that is to not surround yourself, or to surround yourself with things that make you suffer from it. So watch videos related to depression, listen to music that makes you depressed. Stop surrounding yourselves with the things that you don't want to be. And then it gets a lot easier for you to understand yourself. When you exit that loneliness bubble, when you exit that depression bubble, you're a whole new person. There are so many things of yourself that you can finally discover, and it will be worth all the time. And you've just got to remember that it's a process. It takes time, and it won't be easy. It might take you months, it might take you years. All that matters is that you tried, that you put an effort in to change who you are and to understand yourself. Just try. If it doesn't work, oh well, at least you tried. Maybe you'll try it again. But all that matters is that you do something, because that's all you've got to do, is something.